So I don't really know how I feel about God with this whole thing, but I'm thinking about it now, and maybe now because I've been in it a little while longer, but like I'm having a different perspective on, I guess, the processes of God, because it seems like this: when you hear something good and you feel joy in the moment, and then it's followed by an immediate testing of that thing, right? It seems to be followed by an immediate testing of that thing that you heard, and then it's like the joy is taken from you or something. It's like every time I would have an encounter with God, like the next day, it would just like suck ass, dude. Like, and it just happened so many times for so long that I'm just like, God, I don't even want to encounter you. Okay, just leave me alone. And so right now I'm like, okay. After enough time has passed by, I'm seeing more about like why, and this is what's coming to me, as opposed to Buffy, relax. What I saw on TikTok or whatever, which I'm really glad I no longer feel left out of like mainstream things, but like the whole Acts 242 conference or something, big deal. A lot of people went, a lot of people posting about it or something, and Jackie Hill Perry, I think that's her name. She made a video where it's like, now, like, you're excited, but like life is going to happen and it's going to basically, test what you heard. And this is where I'm taking what she said and expounding upon it based on what I feel like the Holy Spirit is giving me. And it's like, it is good. It's like the work begins after you hear the word, but it's not the work that you can do. It's almost like the inverse work. It's the work of enduring. It's the work of dying, right? It's the yielding to the Holy Spirit that has you go through a death. Before the seed can become a plant and produce the fruit, it has to die, right? And so it's not this work that you do in your own strength where you're trying to hold on to the joy that you had when you first heard something. I don't believe that's true. I actually think that faith will be the thing that produces the thing. And so everything else that is not faith will be sifted out. And so anything that is reliant upon you doing anything in your own strength, that's going to be exposed and judged during spiritual warfare. That I think is taking what you first heard, whatever word it was, and actually producing the reality of what that is, right? Like, you're being brought into the knowing of who God is, but you will know God by faith. And so you hear something that's really good about God, or you encounter God, and if you're met with spiritual warfare not shortly after, I do believe it's because he begins to like water that seed. He begins to watch over the word that he has given you. And kind of our job to do with that seems to be the opposite of what you would think. It's like the inverse work. It will be the enduring. It will be the letting go. It will be the dying. I really do believe so. Like, it's like the spiritual warfare will have you in a weak place, or expose your weak place, right? The weak place in you. And it will be the power of God that produces that in your weakness. So whatever you heard and you were overjoyed about, it is not something that you can bring to yourself. And I think that when we first hear something, it comes packaged in that way. And maybe we don't understand that at first, but it is this glimpse of good, this glimpse that gives us joy because it comes with joy, because it comes with him. It is this precursor. It is this glimpse into a hope in a future where it has gone well for you because of who God is. This is who God is. But with that comes with the footnote, which really should just be the main story, is he must produce it. And so any bit of us trying to get to what we got a glimpse of is going to be exposed and judged, and you're going to find it to be unnecessary. But your whole life you have felt like you had to be the one to get yourself from one place to the next place. And so when you hear something by faith, right, when you begin to hear a new thing, and you receive a glimpse into his goodness, that doesn't possibly have like a specific description, but you feel fired up, right? You feel this joy. Well, it's like he shows you a window into what only he can do. And the way in which he watches over his word is he sifts out with spiritual warfare, it seems, all of the unbelief. He brings to the surface what you believe about yourself, what you think you're supposed to add to the equation, all the things that you think you're supposed to do. Oh, God gave me this word, now I have to stand on it. I know people say this. Lots of people say it. And I'm like, I don't really know what work you're talking about. I don't think that's the work that we do, but I mean, we'll see. We'll see. Like, that's really what it is. But it's not the work that I do. The work doesn't seem to be something I have to go and look for. It finds me. I am put into a process, and part of that process is dying. Dying to the desire of the thing that I was given a glimpse of, right? That made me feel joy when I first heard it. You know what I'm saying? It's that sort of thing. And I think this is very good, because as you die to something, not work you can bring about to yourself, but just seems to be the work of the Holy Spirit, yielding to the Holy Spirit, your relationship to whatever God showed you begins to change. And you find that what he is giving you a glimpse of, only he can bring to you. And so the version of you that thinks you have to be capable to get the thing, that has to go. But that is where you will be bound anyway. Right? That is the place in you that is restricted. No, it will be faith, and faith will be enough. But you know how hard it is when someone is not used to walking or living by faith to not, because we're like in the way of ourselves, but we can't help it because we've been taught to be this way, and we don't know him yet because he hasn't produced that knowing in us yet. Right? And we don't trust him yet because he hasn't produced that trusting in us yet. And we don't know what it's like or what it even means to have a father that close and capable, because we have yet to meet that. There's a time where you don't know any of these things. It seems like the seeds that he has planted in me, he has watched over these things. And the preparation and receiving those things, and the seed becoming the plant, right? And the birth of something new, it will be in the place that I can't do it. This is where his power will rest in my weakness and in your weakness. And so the version of me that thought I had to handle something, to manage something, to get myself into what he gave me a glimpse of, that version does not need to exist anymore. That false self trying to find a place at the table to be useful, capable, and then that being a covering to where we have felt ashamed in our weakness. It's like, no, he really wants you. He just wants you. Like, the hard part is waiting on him, right? And the work seems to find you, and the spiritual warfare will come at you. And we're like, no, I got to get the devil off of my back because God gave me a word and I got to hold on to it. I'm like, this is the way in which God is producing the word to become a reality for you. He's allowing the spiritual warfare to come. Like, it seems to be his orchestration that is doing this. But we don't like that. And I understand why. It's extremely annoying, uncomfortable, and just suffering sucks, dude. But that seems to be what it is. But I think we're taught in the church, and I think we have to come away from this place where we have learned that we have to stand on something, and we can't help but be in our own strength about it. And so when the enemy comes and he tries to take that word that was planted, we're like, no, I'm going to stand on what God said. I'm going to keep myself in joy. I'm going to be like I was when I first heard this word at that conference or whatever. I'm going to keep myself fired up. And I feel like God just waits you out, waits until you are zapped from energy. And then he's like, you don't need to keep yourself hyped up. You don't need to keep yourself from pushing back the enemy. You don't need to keep yourself from standing on anything or doing anything like that. And that's going to be completely foreign to you. But faith will produce what I've given you a glimpse of and make it a reality. And you don't know what that's like until you take it through the process to see where you're not required.